Kill them all. Triple kill!
Elo. Hahaha.
Double kill!
Sorry.
ว่าไปบ่า
พายไปพายไป
ไป Hello, hello.
Moro.
Mä en kuule teitä.
Kuule meitä.
Jees. Koska mun kuulokkeet on super hiljaisella. Sanokaas nyt jotain.
Jotain.
Ai no niin, nyt kuuluu. Jumaliste. Kukkuluuduu.
Jee.
Hei, mennään Face.
Mm-hmm.
Meitä on Quattro Stagione tällä hetkellä. Kaikille ok.
Juu.
Meillä piti olla pulli, mut keksi laittaa, että siinä tuli muita juttuja, niin ei pääse. Okei, samattiin palautu. Flannery ja Tappi, mä laitoin teille kutsut.
Ei.
Nekorosta mä en näe täällä.
Selkä Tapilla on voittoputki päällä.
No niin.
Ei saa.
Eikö sattu?
Niin. Siitä.
Älkää kysykö miksi, mutta mä äkkiäpä sen käyn. Okei, oli barbecue kastiketta kädessä.
Sillä nimellä se nykyisin on.
Sori, mä tein ton päivän kulman tossa nopea. Niin. Onks kaikki lämmitellyt, kaikki hittaa ihan saatanasti tänään, eiks niin? Oho. Mä näin muuten Nekoros eilen TikTokissa tuli vastaan sen sun coachin video, missä sä puhut. Se joku jostain, että miksi sä pelaat Premieria vituaasi, tyyppinen video. I don't understand why anybody play Premiere. It's full of shit and full of coders. Why do you do that to yourself? Don't play Premiere. Sitten oli taas, yes, I know, but I am trying to learn. So, no, brother. What are you doing? Kuulostiko totulta? No niin, hyvä. Ehkä sekin tulee, jos se on siellä. Mä yritän sulle kovasti laittaa kutsua, onko sulla päällä toi Faceit? Voit sä pistää...
quickly escalate into a high-stakes battle. Goofy, yes, you heard that right. Faces off against the infamous Nick Airball. When one of them picks up the poker, the game transforms into a spectacle of bold play. Big bets.
Oh my goodness, Goofy, 80% to a Royal. Looking for the Jack of Diamonds.
Airball with the queen. Royals don't exist, Rick, right?
Not on streams. diamonds! Are you kidding me?
Holy smoke.
If there's anyone you'd want to catch a royal.
Get ready to join me as I this high roller for $15,000 US each, and the prize pool is over $5.6 million, with first place taking home a whopping $818,000. Blind levels increasing every 30 minutes. Build a sound quickly is crucial. Every hand counts in this rapid fire format. Too many folds, a run of bad cards, or a single bad hand can end your tournament life instantly. Go to the table and get comfortable. I'm immediately greeted by poker legend Danny Tang, who's won on a very long list of crushers. Entering the action today, with the first cards about to fly, I take a moment to unwrap a gift from the Triton team.
Oh, good socks. It's like a compactor. So I can be like the Germans. $15,000. Most expensive.
After a slow first 30 minutes, I finally look down at a hand I can get into the action with. Queen 10 of Hearts. Everyone starts with 200,000 chips, which luckily I still have, but with the blinds of the first jump, I need to win a pot. Mike Watson is on the side, raises it up to 2.5. For those of you tournament veterans, you definitely know who Mike is. This way, Mike is all time on the money list and the 5th highest earning Canadian of all time, with over $30 million on his head flop. He has scored 1.9 million and 1.7 million, and he's played Triton events up to $200,000 in buy. Someone and respected as we proceed this hand. The action folds around to me in the I decide to play in the call. The big blind folds and we're on Queen, Jack 7 with 2 spades. Some of my nerves are calmed here, flopping top pair with a backdoor straight. Check and flow over to me. $4,000 bet, and in my mind, there's not much I can do here. I'm in the call, and the turn gives us 2 pair on the 10 of diamonds. At first glance, this is a really good turn card for us because we're now beating hands like King, Queen, and Ace, Queen. However, think about who has more of the Ace, King in the spot. It's definitely going to be Mike Watson from under the bench as opposed to my small blind calling range. So, I gotta proceed with caution, even though I've now made 2 pair. I check. With 15K in the pot, Mike does something that a lot of people have been doing recently and overbetting the turn for $18,000. He's letting me know that he wants to play a large pot here by overbetting.
Triple kill!
$40,000 and $90,000 and threaten a good portion of my stack. Like I said, though, I do have a pair, and even though he can have Ace King, I put in the call once again. If I had a river card in the deck, the Jack of Hearts would not be. With Jacks on board, I'm now losing to a hand like Pocket Kings, I have lead on the turn. I have to check it over to Mike and see what he does. On him, he thinks for a very long time, and at this point, all that's going to he goes for a $50,000 to $90,000 on the turn. Well, that's going to put me in the and I most likely will have to find the fold. I don't think he's checking back with Ace King, a Jack, Pocket Kings, all of that good stuff, but ultimately the poker gods reward us here. Behind, and when I table my Queen 10, holds his cards. With a pot finally being dragged away, I'm starting to feel some relief from all the pressure, but with a potential 12-hour grind ahead of me, I need to make sure I'm at my strongest mentally and physically. Fueling up with some delicious food sounds like a great plan, so I stop to put in my order. I order a delicious fried shrimp dish, sweet and sour with some pineapple and some rice, token green tea with honey and lemon. When that eventually arrives, that's for the rest of the day. With the blind level ready to increase again, after Ace Jack offsuit, Matas Symbolos is in the hijack. Okay, for anyone that doesn't know Matas, he has over $7 million in career live earnings, and he's second in Lithuania all time with 6 first place wins on his resume. Small blind, I decide to put in the call in which comes 4-3 deuce with 2 diamonds. I decide to start with a check over to Matas. A good player is always going to find C-bets when they think they have an advantage, and queen highs that beat a lot of my random hands, so he decides to go for a 6.5k bet, and the action's back over to me. I'm gonna have a lot of work like 10, 9, 10, 7 suited, all that good stuff. So when I find myself with stack of diamonds, I'm still beating a lot of his hands. He wants to go for a c-bet on this board. I find the call. The turn is a godsend. It comes with 8 of clubs. I'm putting on my best option here. I have to check it over to him. It makes no sense other than I think he's gonna have better hands like ace, king, so I check it over to him to see what he does. Those never surprise me. I think he's gonna be balanced here. He checks behind on now comes with 3 of hearts. If I check it over to Matas and try to play my ace jack a little bit trappy, he could check behind with a hand like pocket 10s or pocket 9s, and I'd risk not getting value from those hands. So I think going for a bet is my best play here. It also looks a little bit lucky. Busted diamonds or busted clubs. Decided to bet for $22,000, putting Matas to the test. It was only 5k in the pot. I merged my hands being the bluffs and the value, and put a very good player in a tough spot. But it doesn't look like Matas is in a tough spot. He decides to fold his cards, and we are rolling here at Triton event number 1, down to 47 chips. Another 30 minutes of blinds eating away at us, and our chips still sitting at starting stack. I need to start making moves, and fast. What was once 200 big blinds to start now is worth only 80. It's only been 2 hours, yet our chip value has somehow been cut in more than half. Let's thin down a bit, but we still have a lot of work to do. A chance to get into the money. Alright, here we go. Into the next hand, and against Mike Watson, from Canada. He's in the +2 and opens it up for a min raise up to 5,000. I'm going to be defending here with a very wide range. Ace 6 top of that range. I put in the call, and the flop comes queen 9-8 with 2 clubs. I decided to check it over to Mike and see what he does, and he goes for a very small bet of 3,000 chips. On the surface, it's very difficult with my holding. I have ace 6 with the ace of clubs, so I definitely want to continue here because I can back straight. But like I mentioned, ace 6 with the ace of clubs has a pretty easy call here. I'm going to float. The time card rewards us with the ace of spades. After just calling the flop, leading out on the ace of spades makes no sense. Over to Mike. I think his bet makes a lot of sense because he's more likely to have pocket aces, pocket queens, ace queen. That's out for 7k, and I have my decision is pretty easy, and I find that the 33.5k brings in a connected card. It comes a 10 of spades. We're now looking at a board that has a one-liner to the jack being a straight. There's 3 spades on the board. It might just back to a flush. Even though I have top pair, I'm looking to get to a showdown. One pair is pretty mediocre on this board, and I start with a check over to Mike. Even though there's only 33.5k in the middle, that's still around 15 big blinds, and Mike's good enough to these 15 big blind pots are chip stack grows, and when you finally get into an all-in situation, so I'm not expecting him to check back so easily here. He might get creative and put out a bet and put me in a tough spot with a 1 or 2 pair type of hand. But luckily for me, behind, and when I table my ace-6 offsuit, we're taking in this 15 big blind pot.
Triple kill!
Versus the super players thus far. One of the coolest features in my tournament is real-time hand histories. At any point, players can open the Triton Plus app to see information on your previous hands almost instantly. They have a person standing behind each table taking meticulous notes and updating the app in real time, so your family can even follow the action from back home. Speaking of real time, that leads us into the example. My first premium of the day, ace queen suited. I raise it up to 5.5k from early position. The action folds around to the big blind, Wang Yang, and he puts in the call. Spots going forward in this video and future ones from this tournament series. Small blind and big blind. They're incentivized to put in more calls than the other positions because they have chips already in the middle. The flop comes in 2 spades. It's a pretty big flop, and it could be a moment for a big pot finally coming.
Triple kill!
Checks it over to me like this entire range. I go for a bet of 5.5. All you Royal Wolfgang poker fans might recognize as a Cinco de Mayo. My first ever Cinco de Mayo spread and a massive $50,000 buy-in, but I still got the memes here. Wayne doesn't think about it for too long. The turn is disgusting. It comes with 7 It obviously brings in the front door flush draw, also some 2 pairs, and then a lot of his floats will now have a straight like 6-9 and 6-4. Even worse is when Wang doesn't check it over to me. I'd love to go for a check behind on this turn card, but he's not going to give me an option when he senses that this is a good card to bet out for 18K on. I have a very good hand, top pair with a queen. My hand has been graded from the flop to the turn to a ton of it. Still, I can't fold my hand. I put in the call and brace for a river card. When the river comes to jack of diamonds, at first glance, this doesn't seem too bad. Actions on the wing though, and I hope he goes for a check or maybe a small bet, giving me an easy decision. With 61K in the middle, he overbets now for 62K, and my decision becomes a little tougher. Even though I have a pair of aces, my hand is a bluff catcher at this point. I'm losing to a ton of hands like 6-9, 6-4, 8-5, 8-7, pocket 8, all of his flush draws, and then other 2 pairs like ace-8, ace-5, ace-6. Confident feelings on the flop have gotten worse on the turn and now worse on the river facing a pot-sized bet. If I was to find the call here, it'd be nearly a 200K pot, which was starting stack, so around $15,000 in raw equity. I ultimately decide that he's going to have a lot more strong hands here, and I make a pretty disciplined laydown, but I think this was the right decision, and it's important to realize that it's more valuable to risk putting in the call and winning a large pot. That's what and it's definitely a thing here in the tournaments, and something I'll have to keep in the I'm definitely disappointed after the last hand in the run out of the cards. The blinds have increased one